It's Jake from NorCal. Here we're going to be talking about adjusting the pressure in your high pressure air tanks. So my high pressure air tank right here, the Ninja. This is a special edition. I really like it. It's pretty cool. The Ninja Superlight 68 cubic inch. The 68 means cubic inches. Superlight means it's super light. It's about 30% lighter than the standard Ninja tank. This is 68 cubic inches, 68 cubic inches, 4,500 psi, 4,500 psi. And it's about a ½ inch shorter. As you can tell by the tanks, you might be able to tell the difference in width or girth and then also length. This is definitely a smaller tank, and you can definitely feel the weight difference. Again, this is about 30% lighter. These go for about $155. These go for $205. In my opinion, this is definitely worth it. The one I have came with the standard Ninja regulator. In my opinion, Ninja makes the best regulators. Made in America. And you can tell a Ninja by the N. That's the Ninja. It's got the dial. It's got a 1.8K burst disc here and a 7.5K burst disc here. Then your fill nipple. That's what you connect the hose to at the field. Fill it up. This particular one has the ball. This one has the pin. With the ball, it's supposed to give increased airflow, more consistent airflow. What you want to do before you do anything with your regulator is make sure you have zero air in it. This says 0 on the gauge, but you want to make sure you can push this in. If you can push the pin in easily, then there's no air in this. Since this one shows it has about 1,500 psi, it has the pin. Can't push it in. In order to adjust the output pressure, this right here has a thing called shims. Shims look like washers. They're flat. They're not curved at all. They're just a flat disc like a circle. These come with 3 from the manufacturer. The output pressure on these is 800 psi or 800 pounds per square inch, straight from the manufacturer. That's good for markers such as Tippmanns, for spiders. Those markers need a higher output pressure. With electronic markers, it's a little bit different setup. It doesn't need quite the operating pressure in most cases. So about 500, 600 psi. And then if you have a Bob Long or a Field 1 marker, most of those typically run with a low pressure air system. So you need to adjust the regulator. I'm going to go ahead and take this regulator off. Again, we've made sure there is absolutely no air in here. Again, you just push this down. Perfectly fine. So I'm going to take this. See all these rotations here? Man, that takes a long time. You might think, that's stupid. Why make it like that? For safety. Once you unscrew the air tank from the regulator, it's going to start leaking out of here. It's not going to blow up, so don't think, oh my God, I'm about to die. It's not going to act like a rocket. It's not going to be a bomb. It's designed with this to be a safety. So if it starts leaking, I mean, look how much you have to spin that puppy. By the time you get that done, 5 air tanks could be bled out. It's got a small hole here. The hole goes right through here, bleed hole there. So once that is compromised, it's going to start leaking air like crazy. Here's a trough also. That trough will just make the air shoot out faster than you can even blink. It's going to be really fast. It's going to get really cold. Probably some scary moments, loud sounds. But it's a safety thing, so don't worry. So the tank is off. Don't put oil, don't put water, don't put anything in here. You can kind of blow in it, see if there's any dirt or debris. Other than that, don't worry about that. This is the regulator. Again, you have the gauge, you have your burst discs, which are safety components, and you have your fill nipple. The bonnet here can just kind of covers everything up. This particular style has 2 set screws. I think they are 3/32, I believe is what I'm using. The set screw here, sometimes you want to get in there and it's kind of difficult. If you have an angled Allen wrench set, put it right there, boom. And then you can take this, just spin it. Be sure to hold on to these, don't let them fall. The best thing to do is have a white towel or a tech mat that has ridges in it. Because about 75% of teching markers is picking stuff up off the ground. Again, here's the other set screw. Just turn it. Once you've kind of broken the seal, got it working, then you can get it going. Now, since this one is positioned right under this gauge, I'm going to loosen it up a little bit, and I'm just going to twist. Now, I can just unscrew the set screw, set it here beside. Now here comes the bonnet removal. You just turn it. You might have to get a silicone pad or something, like a can opener, one of those things, jar openers that you put down, or a microfiber or something. This one was given to me by Fog Doc this past weekend in a scenario game. So you're going to rotate it. I like to do mine upside down because I want the components to be inside this bonnet. If I do it this way, a bunch of stuff can fall out. Well, not a bunch of stuff, but a couple things. So just twist it off, just keep going. There. So now that you have it separated, in here are your shims. You probably can't see them very well. And then here's your spring stack. On the Pro V2, you'll actually have the shims, or the bevel springs rather, and they will look kind of like, they'll look like washers, but they're just barely concave and convex depending on which side you have it on. So they'll sit one here, then one there, then one there, one there, one there. This one actually has the spring. Now, it's not a directional spring. You can put it this way, you can turn it upside down, put it that way. Just take this out and make sure that you've gotten all the debris. If there's any dirt or grit or anything, just kind of get that off. There should be some silicone-based grease on this O-ring and these two O-rings. That's what you lube this with, nothing else. Not oil. That's very dangerous. So there's your piston, your spring. Just put it back together like that, and you can set it aside over with your set screws. Now I'm going to take this, turn my hand. What I have here, I have the spring that holds the ball valve in, and then I have the ball. It's kind of hard to show you, a round spherical ball, but that just goes in to this hole. Maybe I can get away from here and see. So you'll look in here. If there's any dirt and stuff, get a Q-tip, wipe that out. If not, you're good to go. Just take the ball, put it back in, drop it in. Take the spring. You can do it one of two ways. You can either put it here, and it's going to be kind of wobbly, and flop around, or you can take it, put it in this recess, and then just turn that upside down. Just give a push on the piston, and if it pops back, then it's probably in there. Then you're going to turn it upside down, hold the piston, and just take an Allen key or something and push that ball in a few times just to make sure that it's popping back out. If it's done that, it's good. Set it aside. The regulator. It even says on here, use no oil. Don't use oil. Inside here, this whole thing is going to be black. I didn't even realize this until I watched a video from Ninja. This is the inside of this is all anodized black. So if it's not black, you've got shims in there. So there are a couple things you can do. You can either get a pick and actually pick those out, or hopefully if you've taken them out before, they will come out pretty easily. One's still in there. Here's what the two shims look like. There's one, there's two. You can tell they're flat. These particular ones are red-ish. Once you've gotten the three shims out, to set your pressure, again, this comes 800 PSI from the factory. If you're wanting to leave it there, just put the shims, all three of them, back in there, screw this back on, and you're good to go. If you have an electronic marker that needs a little bit of low pressure, then if you take one shim out, then it goes from 800 PSI to about 700 PSI. If you take two shims out, and you only have one in there, like we have now, then you're going to go from 700 PSI down to about 550 PSI. And then if you take all three shims out, you're going to have about 400 to 450 PSI. Personally, I need a higher pressure marker, so I put all three of them back in there. Take this bonnet and just screw it back on. Once you get it to here, again, give it a little test. It's all good to go. Since my spot for the set screw is right behind the gauge, I'm going to twist it a little bit. and put this one in, get it started at least, get all the way down to where it's almost tight, but I can still easily rotate it. So it's got to be, you want this to be with no gap, because you don't want to leak. Take the other set screw, go in. Now here's where you tighten it down. You don't have to bear down on it. You just tighten it a little bit. Give it a little bit of a turn. But there's no need to bear down and over tighten it. You don't want to cross thread. You don't want to pinch anything, which there's nothing really to pinch. But right there is your regulator back. You're going to make sure this O-ring here is in good condition. It's not leaking. If it is, you're going to replace that O-ring. I'm not sure the size off the top of my head. You're going to take it and you're going to rotate it back on, tighten that tank up, give it a nice snug turn. There you go. That is how you adjust your tank pressure. So be sure to give me a like, a thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I really do appreciate it. Once I get 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away something kind of big. So be sure to tell your friends to subscribe. Thanks. Have a great day.